Now, good morning. Today, the topic which we are going to discuss is individualized and group instructions from Unit 4th. What are the learning objectives? The learning objectives are the students will be able to know the concept of individualized instruction. Now, they will able to know that this is the concept of individualized instructions. The student will be able to know the concept of group instructions. What is the concept of group instruction? The student will be able to know the meaning of individualized instructions. The next one is the student will be able to know the meaning of group instruction. And the last one is the student will be able to differentiate between group and individualized instruction. What do you mean by the individualized instruction and what do you mean by the group discussion? Now, first we will discuss individualized instruction teaching method. Learner today are very diverse. Diverse means they are different from each other in their academic needs, how they want to learn something, backgrounds, from different backgrounds they come, and abilities means the competencies. It is imperative that we meet them where they are so that we can maximize their learning potential. Now, what they are saying that we have to focus, we have to plan our teaching in such a way that all the needs of the student should be satisfied. One way to do this is to utilize all the resources. Definition: individualized learning or individual instruction is a method of teaching. Now, what they are saying that individualized learning or individualized instruction is a way of teaching. How I am teaching you, in which content, the topic, knowledge, instructional technology, the teaching learning process, the instructions which I am giving, and pace of learning, how you are learning, are based upon their abilities, the abilities of the students and interest of each learner. Individualized instruction refers to the use of strategies, the techniques, resources. The resources can be the PowerPoint presentation, the media, the OHP, and assessment to meet the need of one and particular learner, and the assessment techniques what I can use so that the needs of each and every learner can be fulfilled. Now, requirements of individual instructions. Now, what are the necessary things which are there for the individualized instructions? Each students learn differently, means the style of learning of each and every student is differ, means two students are not alike. Individual differences are there. In the same way, each students learn in a different manner. All students are talented in different ways. Some have some abilities, other students have other abilities. Educating children with special needs. Now, what is that? We are talking about the inclusion, where a normal student learns with a special child, which I can say who is physically disabled, who is mentally disturbed. So we have to educate children in such a way that the needs of the special children should also be satisfied. It is to meet the unique educational needs of a child, means every individual has its own unique needs, and that need should be satisfied, and that need can be satisfied only with the individualized instructions. Teaching requires differentiated and individualized instruction in order to reach all students. Now we have to plan, we have to make a plan in such a way that our instruction should meet the individual needs of every student. Careful and continuous assessment, means regular assessment should be there. Of individual progress, how individual is improving can be carried out. Now, principles of individualized instruction strategy. The first one is make the students clear about the key points. What are the main points? And generalizations to make sure that all learners gain a powerful and strong understanding. Now, what is the main focus? That to make them understand the concept of knowledge. They have gained that much of knowledge. to make sure that learners gain a powerful and strong understanding about the concept which the teacher is going to teach, so that they can have a good foundation for their future learning. If they understand that concept, then only that concept will help them to in their future learning. If they will not understand a particular concept, then that concept will not help them for their future learning. Use assessment as a teaching tool. Assessment to evaluate the teaching learning process. Emphasize to give importance and stress more on critical and creative thinking while designing a lesson. Now, when a teacher is going to plan a lesson, the more focus of the teacher should be on develop critical thinking, to know that the student will able to know what is right, what is wrong. Creative thinking, they will start thinking in a divergent uh, uh, thinking level. They should be flexible in their thinking. They should not be rigid. These type of creative thinking abilities should be developed in the students. If as a teacher I want, as a teacher I have to develop these critical and creative thinking in the students, so I have to design my lesson plan in such a way that the lesson plan which I have prepared emphasize, give importance, and give stress on the development of critical and creative thinking of the students. Engaging all learners is essential. Now, what they are saying, in the teaching learning process, it is important that all the learners should be engaged in the teaching learning process. Means the learners should be actively involved in the teaching learning process. We should engage and make the students participate in classroom activities. When they will participate in teaching learning process, when they will be when they will engage themselves in the teaching learning process, they will not be just passive listeners. We should make a teaching plan in such a way that they should be actively involved in the teaching learning process. They should be actively participated in every classroom activities which has been organized by the teacher. Means we can say like that also, that while forming a teaching learning process, while designing a teaching learning process, it is essential that the teacher should design or plan his activities in such a way that all learners should actively participate in that activity. It is not that only above average students will participate in that activity. No, we have to make a activity in such a way that all the learners, whether they are above average intelligence, below average intelligence, or average intelligence, should participate in the activities which will be organized by the teacher in the teaching learning process. For that, teachers should develop their lessons to engage and provide a balance between teacher assigned and student selecting tasks. Now, provide a balance between teacher assigned, what the teacher is giving the students the assignment, and student selecting tasks, what tasks they have been selecting. If there is a balance between the tasks which will be given by the teacher to the students, and activities that are assigned by the teachers, and the task selected by the students, and the learning will be most favorable and desirable. Now, what is our main focus? To make our students learn better. This is the main focus of a teacher. So this can be achieved only when there is a balance between the work which will be assigned by the teacher to the students, first thing, and activities. While designing the activities, the teacher should consider in mind that all the students should involve in those activities that are assigned by the teachers, all the activities which were given by the teachers to the student. And the task selected means the selection of the task by the student in such a way that the learning is in favorable and desirable manner. So the task selected by the students means the teachers should give them the freedom to select their task. If the teacher will give them that freedom, then what will happen? The learning will be favorable and desirable. There will be a qualitative improvement in the performances of the students. Now, Steps. What are the steps of assessment learning? When we are talking about the steps, the first steps is assessment of the student background, need and interest. Now what is that? Key, when we are planning something, when we are designing the instructional individualized instructional program, first the teacher has to assess. Now the teacher has to evaluate. What the teacher has to evaluate? What are the needs of the particular students? What are the needs of the students, and what are their interest area? On the basis of their evaluation only, the teacher should plan his individualized instruction. If the teacher does not know the needs and interests of the student, then the planning will not be fruitful. The planning will be fruitful only when the teacher knows the performance. The teacher will know the student's background, needs and interests. So a teacher has to assess all these things before making a plan. Now the second one is selection of appropriate subject matter. Selection of appropriate subject matter, the content which the teacher is going to teach. The teacher has to select that this subject matter is appropriate for the students. The third one is determining the teaching strategies. Determining the teaching strategies, the teaching techniques. Determine, identify the teaching strategies to meet the needs and interests. Means the teacher has to identify that these particular teaching strategies, these particular teaching techniques can be used by me to in determining that to meet the needs and interests of the student. These particular, determining the teaching strategies, that these are the teaching strategies, and on the basis of these teaching strategies I can meet the needs. What are the needs of the student and interest of the students? Constant monitoring of progress, how they are progressing. We have to make a regular monitoring on their progress, on their performance, improvement in their performance. Undertaking revisions, what it means, that I have to take a revisionary classes when I am focusing on individualized instructions. Alternative, wherever needed. Now alternatives, what can be the alternatives? We are talking about the online education. You are taking online education. What are the alternatives available? First we are taking the classes on Zoom. Then the alternative, wherever needed, we switch to Google Meet. Now what is that alternative? Wherever needed, I change from Zoom to Google Meet as an alternative because it's now my requirement. Now, comprehensive education, comprehensive understanding education, including qualitative and quantitative records. Now, we have to focus, we have to understand what education, including the qualitative improvement and the quantitative improvement. Now, what are the advantages of individualized instruction? Now, individualized instructions advantages can be called, the first one as student centric. Now, what do you mean by the student centric? Where the focus of teaching learning process is on the student. The student is at the center. The teacher is not at the center. All the teaching learning process are designed in such a way that students are at the center and students should be more beneficial. Meeting the needs and interests of diverse learners. Now what it means, that we know that no two individuals cannot be the same. Diversity of learners are there in the classes. So when we are when a teacher is using individualized instruction, then what he is using, then he can satisfy the needs and interest of all the learners which are available in the classes. Provides the opportunity for students to learn at their own pace. Now what it means at their own pace? When they want to learn, how much time they want to learn. So individualized instruction will give them the opportunity for students to learn at their pace. Means they can decide, they have the opportunity to learn at their own pace, in their own way, how they want to learn. and be successful. Now what is the main point? That they want to be successful, and to get the success they will decide that I will learn at my own pace. I don't have to go like other students are doing in their own way, the way they want to make learn. There, all the students have their own learning styles, so they will follow their own learning styles, and by following their own pace, their own way, they will be successful. Recognizing students varying background. The students comes from different backgrounds. We have to recognize this, that all the students do not come from same background. Varying background knowledge. Some students have knowledge of a subject more in comparison to other students who have the knowledge of that particular subject is not so much. Readiness, how they can read. Language preferences, it can be English, it can be Hindi, it can be Malayalam. In learning, what are their learning preferences? Might be some student will say, ma'am, please teach in Urdu only, because I learn more when you teach in Urdu. Some student will say, no ma'am, teach us in English only, because uh, if you when you teach in English, then only we will able to learn the concept in a very beneficial manner. Interest, ma'am, please teach with this teaching method, do not teach with PPT. Please use OHP transparencies while making. Interest areas will be your areas where you have an interest. Might be some students are having interest in research, some students are having interest in psychology. So we have to recognize what are the specific interests of the particular student, and we react responsibly. And we have to make a reaction on the basis of their background knowledge, readiness, whether you are ready to learn a concept or not. I am saying that I will take a class today at 12:30, but you are not ready to take the class at that time. Then what will happen? You will not learn in that class. So whether you are ready to learn any concept or content or not. Language preference, whether you want to learn in English or in Hindi. What is your preference language? Interest, in which area do you have interest? And we react responsibility, and we have to react responsibly if recognizing students varying backgrounds. Maximize each student growth and individual success by meeting each student where he or she is and assisting in learning process. Now, what is that? Maximize. We have to maximize student growth. Means there should be an improvement in his performance. And individual success. Why individual success? Because we are taking the method individualized instruction, where every individual has been given equal weightage. Means we are not talking about the group performance, we are talking about the individual performance, how he is improving, how is he is beneficial by that particular teaching method or teaching techniques. By meeting with each students, now when will the student growth and individual success will be achieved? When we will make our teaching learning process in such a way that every student need should be fulfilled, where he or she is, and assisting in the learning process. And we have to make help in the learning process. We have to give them help in assisting, that I am helping you in the learning process, I will help you to make your learning beneficial, for make your learning improve, qualitative improvement in your learning process. All these things are involved in that. Help in providing for the uniqueness of each child in terms of his particular learning style. Now, what are the learning styles? Now, learning styles can be, some students learn more when the teacher is writing each and everything on board. You learn better. Ma'am, please write each and every word on board. Then I will say that I learned that concept. I understand that concept very well. Some students will say, no, ma'am, please don't write on board. Just say each and every word we will write down in our copies. These are what the learning style. Some students say, ma'am, please just write on the board, and speak the words what you are writing on the board. So their learning style is, they are beneficial by the teaching learning process when the teacher is writing on the board, at the same time he is speaking the content also. Talents, what are their particular talents, their and potential, their abilities, what they can do. So the teacher should help in providing for the uniqueness of each child. And when the teacher will able to provide for the uniqueness, when the teacher will know that these uniqueness are present in the student, first thing. And what has to do the teacher, that the teacher has to identify these uniqueness, then only I will able to help you in your learning styles, able to know your talents and your potentialities. Now, what are the disadvantages of individualized instruction? Now, the first one is time constant, means it is a time consuming job, because I am not teaching the whole class. I am giving instructions to each and every student. So what will happen? It will be a time consuming job. And chopped up schedules are an obstacles. Now, chopped up schedules are an obstacles. It will work as an obstacles because every teacher has its other schedules also. Class size, the number of students present in the class, and teaching load, how much teachers has been loaded with the teaching. Means if the teacher has a teaching load of 5 classes or 6 classes, then it is very difficult for a teacher to give individualized instructions. When a teacher has a teaching load of 1 or 2 period, then we can say that the teacher can manage the individualized instruction. But in our country, where the class size is of 60 and 80 students are studying in one class, and teaching load of the teachers are very much high, then it is very difficult for a teacher to organize individualized instruction in the classes. Are two of the biggest concern. These are the two biggest concern of what organizing individualized instructions in the classroom. Teacher preparedness, whether teacher are prepared for the individualized instructions, or they think that group instructions is the best way to teach the students. So sometimes teachers are not ready to give the individualized instructions to the students. Now, assessment in a differentiated classroom. Now, differentiated classroom where there is uniqueness in the class, where every learner is different from each other. Now, assessment drives instruction. First, assessment information help the teacher map next step for varied learners and the class as a whole. Now, what is that assessment information? Information which will help the teacher. The teacher has taken an assessment and an evaluation, and that information from that evaluation or the assessment helps the teacher map next step for varied learner. That assessment, that information which the teacher will get from the assessment will help the teacher to plan his learning in a different way. Means that assessment will help the teacher that he can plan his learning in that manner also, so that every individual needs can be satisfied. Now, assessment drives instruction. Assessment information helps the teacher map next step for varied learners and the class as a whole. Assessment occurs consistently, means it's a continuous process. As the unit begins, when we start with the unit, throughout the unit, means when the unit is going on, at the end of the unit, means after the completing of the unit also, we are using the assessment. Pre-assessment means the previous knowledge. Formative, after completion of the topic. Summative, at the end of the curriculum, are regular parts of the teaching learning cycles. Means assessment is constantly occurring. We are taking the assessment of the students on a continuous basis. Teacher assess students' readiness, whether students are ready or not. Interest, what are their interests, and learning profile, how they want to learn. Assessment are a part of teaching for success. Is if we are not taking the assessment, then as a teacher I will not able to know what are your strengths, what your learning style, how you learn better, what are your interest area. So what they are saying, that assessment is a part for teaching for success, because on the basis of assessment I will plan my teaching, and if I plan my teaching according to your needs, then teaching successful teaching is there. Now, assessment may be differentiated, means assessment process can be differentiated. Assessment information helps students chart and contribute to their own growth. You will able to know as a student that these are my weaknesses, these are my strengths, and I have to work on my I have to work on my weaknesses, then I will improve the in my next performance. So assessment information helps students chart and contribute to their own growth. Assessment information is more useful to the teacher than grades. Now what they are saying, that assessment information, the information which a teacher is getting from the assessment, is more useful for me as a teacher, to the teacher, than grades. What grades are you getting, it's not that much useful for me, but what is useful more for me, that the information which I am getting from the assessment. From the assessment I will able to know your needs, I will able to know in which way you learn better. So information which I will get from the assessment is more useful for me in comparison to the grades what you are getting. Assessment is more focused on personal growth. Now every individual will perform in a particular way, so on the basis of the feedback which you get from the assessment, you can improve your personal growth. So what they are saying, assessment is more focused on personal growth, on a personal individual growth, then on peer competition. We are not focusing on the peer competition, what others are getting, which grades they are getting. We are focused, we are more emphasized on your personal growth, on the personal growth of an individual. Now the second concept which we are going to discuss today is group instruction. Till now we have studied about the individual instruction, where we are focusing that every individual is unique, every individual has its own learning style, interests and needs. Then we have to give our instructions on the basis of the needs, on the basis of their learning style. This is called the individualized instruction. But when we are focusing, or we are going to discuss the group instructions, it will be totally different from the individualized instruction. Here we will focus on group, what are the needs of that particular group. Now group instructions usually follow whole group instructions, means when we are giving the instructions, group instructions, we are following group instructions, means we are giving instructions to the whole group, and provide students with a reduced student teacher ratio. And in that group instructions, when we are using the group instructional technology, the technique for teaching, the student teacher ratio should be reduced, means it should not be more, it should cannot be 1:80 or 100. No, it cannot be like that. The student ratio should be reduced, typically in groups of 2 or 4 students. Now when we are talking about the group instructions, the group will be formed of 2 to 4 students. There can be 2 to 4 students in a group. Whole group instruction is a teaching method where the teacher provides direct instructions to the whole group. Now what the teacher is doing, the teacher is giving instructions to the whole group. But when we are talking about the individual instruction, the teacher is giving instructions to a particular individual or a particular learner. But when we are talking about the group instruction, the instructions are, the whole group is getting the instructions from the teacher. Usually a class, it can be a class. By contrast, small group instructions allow teacher to work more closely with each students on a specific learning objectives. Now what they are saying, then when we are constructed a group which having learners from 2 to 4, then the teacher can focus on specific learning objective, that these are the specific learning objective, and the teacher is focusing on each and every individual. Reinforce skills learned. How can that individual or the learner can be reinforced in whole group instructions, and check for students understanding how much they have learned. Group instructions give student more of the teacher's focus attention. Now, when we are talking about the group instructions, what they are saying, teachers are more focused. They are giving more attention to the students. Why? Because the group size is very small. The student or teacher ratio has been reduced. When the teacher student ratio has been reduced, then only the teacher will focus on each and every individual or the learner. And a chance to ask specific questions means, when we are talking about the group, I ask you some questions, you might say, why should I give the answer? But when I am focused, when I am dividing my class in small groups, then I will ask some questions, then I might get a chance that you will reply. So a teacher focus attention, a teacher is focused on each and every individual. The teacher is focusing on each individual, how he is learning, how is performing, and a chance to ask specific questions about what they learn means the teacher is involved with each and every student. The teacher rapport has been established, then the teacher can ask some specific question, that how much they have learned about a particular topic. Teacher can use group instructions to intervene with struggling students as well. Means, who will be the struggling student? The struggling students will be those who have below average performances. Means, we are saying that it is not only beneficial for the student who are performing, who are average above performance, but also it is beneficial for the students who are performing below level. Now, small group instructions give teacher a natural opportunity to provide targeted, differentiate instructions for small group of students. Now, what is that? Differentiated instructions means I am created a group of 4 students, and every individual has its own uniqueness, and I can plan, I can give my instructions keeping in mind their uniqueness. That these are the differentiated instructions can be used for different groups of students. Means, for example, I can teach a group with lecture method, B group with inductive deductive method, C group with project method. So I can use differentiate instruction methods for teaching the small groups of students. It gives the teacher an opportunity to evaluate now how they are learning, and assess more closely, and evaluate more closely what each student can do, how they can perform, they can do. The teacher can note their abilities and build strategic plans around those assessment. Now the teacher is working with each and every student. The teacher will able to know these are their strengths, these are their weaknesses, these are their abilities. Now, keeping in mind their strength, their weaknesses, their potentialities, their abilities, the teacher will plan his teaching plans accordingly. The teacher will make strategies so that every student need should be fulfilled around those assessment. Now, who is giving them, the teachers, the knowledge of that? The assessment which the teacher is assessing the performances of the student who struggle to ask questions, those who struggle to ask questions from the teachers in a large group, and participate in a whole group settings, and don't want to participate in all the activities which are organized in the whole group. Means, when the teacher is teaching a class of 80 students, some students hesitate to ask questions, and they don't participate in the activities which is organized for the whole class. May thrive in small groups where they feel more comfortable and less overwhelmed. So they are more able to learn the concept. They will ask some questions to the student, teachers, they can participate in the activities, and they are more comfortable when they have been giving instructions in a small group. Furthermore, small group instructions tend to proceed at a fast pace. Now, fast pace because the teacher is giving the instructions to the whole group, so the learning process will occur in the process, the fast pace, the way of learning. Furthermore, small group instructions tend to proceed at a fast rate. That friend of mine has learned so much, I have to learn it again, which typically helps students maintain focus. They will be focused, and they and that focus help them to learn at a fast rate. Small group instructions can occur in group of students. Small group instructions can occur in group of students, a group of students of 2 to 4 with similar academic needs. Means when we are framing, when we are constructing the group, we should keep in mind certain things. The first thing is similar academic needs. Means those students who have the academic needs, similar academic needs, can be in a a group. For example, you are all learning B.Ed or M.Ed or B.A. or M.A. So their academic needs will be decided on the basis of the program in which you have enrolled, or in cooperative groups of students with diverse abilities, or in cooperative group where you will learn, where you will cooperate with each other to learn a concept. Cooperative group of students with diverse abilities. Diverse abilities means no, we cannot make a group where all the learners with uh, A grade will means I form a group in which all the students who have getting A grades will form a group. No, with diverse abilities means on the basis of your learning style, on the basis of your different interests and your needs. Means when I am formulating a group, I have to keep in mind that the diverse ability students will cooperate with each other. Cooperative group of students with diverse abilities. Some students have the ability to they write beautifully. Some students can communicate very well. So these are the diverse abilities of the student, putting higher achieving students in the role of a peer mentor. Now, what is that? Putting higher achieving students means those who are getting grades, higher grades, in the role of a peer mentor. Means they will work as a peer mentor. Their role will be as a peer mentor. The peer mentor will work how the groups are performing, how the groups are involved in the teaching learning process, uh, what's their academic achievement, how they are improving. This will be the role of a peer mentor. Small group instructions encourage students involvement in lesson. They will involve in the teaching learning process. Some students might be hesitate in asking questions from a large group, but when we teach them in a small groups, then what will happen? They will involved in the teaching learning process, and their involvement in the lesson plan will be increased, and can help them learn how to work well with others. And in the same way, we will help them to learn how to cooperate with other students, and in what way, by cooperating, by helping others, they can learn well with others. Means they are actively involved in the teaching learning process. If as a student I am not able to understand a concept, the other student of my group will help me to learn, to understand, to comprehend that topic. So the group instructions can help them learn how to work well with others, how to well with others, with the other group members of their group. Now, flexible grouping. Now, students are part of many different groups. The students can be a part of many different groups that we are organized, and also work alone. Sometimes they will work alone themselves based on the match of the task to student readiness. Student readiness, how they are ready to perform, how they are performing, whether they are ready to learn a concept or not. Interest, what are their particular interests, what their hobbies, or learning style. The students' learning styles are different. Every student has its own learning style. Some learn better when the teacher teaches them with the PPT. Some learns better when the teacher uses the chalk duster method. So the learning styles of every individual is unique. Every student learn at its own way. Now, these are the some references which you can go through to make your understanding better on that topic. Now we will discuss some MCQs. The MCQs will be related to the topic which we have just read. As MCQs are the best tool to make understand how much, what are the learning outcomes, how much you have learned. The first one is individualized instruction is a method of teaching in which dash are based upon the abilities and interest of each learner. Now, the first one is A option, content, B, develop, C, engage, D, all the above given choices. So, individualized instruction is a method of teaching in which content are based on the abilities and interest of each learner. Means method of teaching is a individualized instruction is a method of teaching, means the way of to teach the student in which the content or the topic which will be selected by the teacher will be based upon the abilities, what are the abilities, interests and of each learner. Now the second one is dash instruction refers to the use of strategies, resources. Now which are they? In A option, individualize, B, group, C, content, D, none of the above given choices, means neither it is individualized nor group nor content. So the correct answer is individualized. Individualized instructions refer to the use of strategies and resources according to the uniqueness of the learner, how they want to learn something. The third one, individualized instruction is a method of teaching in which dash are based upon the abilities of each learner. The first one is instructional technology. The second one is technology, the use of technology in the education. Instruction, the instructions which are given by the teacher. D, none of the above given choices. So the correct answer is option A, and that is instructional technology are based upon the abilities of each learner. Now the fourth one, individualized instruction provide a balance between dash and student selected task. Balance between what? A, teacher assigned, what the assignments were given by the teacher. Technology, what technology has been used by the teacher. Instructions, what instructions will be given by the teacher, or how to develop that balance. Now the correct answer is teacher assigned, means individual instructions provide a balance between teacher assigned and student selected task, means what assignments are being given by the teacher and the student has given opportunity to select a task from the assignments given by the teacher. Now the fifth one, individualized instruction is to meet the unique educational needs of the child. Educational objectives appears all the above given choices, so the correct answer is educational. Now the sixth one, dash usually follow whole group instructions and provide students with a reduced student teacher ratio, typically in a group of 2 to 4 students. Now that is known as A, group instruction, B, whole instructions, C, peer instructions, or D, the objective. So the correct answer is group discussion instructions, where we follow group instructions, provide student with reduced student teacher ratio has been limited, has been reduced. Dash information help students chart and contribute their own growth, which will help them to chart and contribute to their own growth. That first one is assessment, B, objectives which are framed from them, C, learning techniques, D, decided that they have been contributed, that these factors will be contributed to their progress. The first answer, the correct answer is A, the assessment. Now the eighth one. Instruction allow teachers to work more closely with each student on a specific learning objective. Which strategy allows the teacher to work more closely with each student on a specific learning objective? A, small group, when a teacher is teaching a group of 2 to 4 students. Large group, when a teacher is teaching 80 to 90 students in a class. Fixed group, that the number of students will be 60. Limited group means a group of 50 students. So the correct answer is option A, and the answer is small group. Now the ninth one. Small group instructions tend to proceed at a dash, which typically help students maintain focus. Now what is that? Fast pace. They will learn at their learning pace will be fast. Slow pace. They will learn very slowly. Learner pace, at their own pace, that I will learn today that much content only. Or the group pace, how the group is learning. So small group instructions tend to proceed at a fast pace. Now the 10th question, teachers can use group instructions to intervene with struggling student as well. Is this statement true or it is false? So what they are saying, teachers can use group instructions to intervene with struggling students as well. Now who will be the struggling students? Who are not learning that concept in a very well manner. So this statement is true. Thank you students for patient listening. Tomorrow we will going to discuss a new topic on the basis of curriculum development. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.